2022 was the most successful season in a decade for the Wildcats. Multiple top 10 wins. They brought home a Big 12 championship trophy versus a TCU team that would go on to win a playoff game. Several All-Americans and a team loaded with extremely fun players to watch. The question now is, can they do it again? First, let's talk about some of the departures from the Big 12 championship team. There's really no replacing a guy like Deuce Vaughn. Running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield, lining up at receiver, even his downfield blocking. The guy was just special. At receiver, K-State's losing their top two outside guys, Malik Knowles and Cade Warner. Warner's a guy that could just go up and make the tough catches. Malik Knowles was just a playmaker with the ball in his hands. Good enough that he even got invited to the NFL Combine this year. And then we're also losing Sammy Wheeler, who is a backup tight end, but might be one of the better backup tight ends K-State's ever had. Now, Adrian Martinez, he probably won't be missed in the sense that we have Will Howard here, but we have very little depth behind Will Howard now that has any kind of experience. And then, of course, Ty Zentner is not an offensive player, but he put up a lot of points for K-State. He went perfect last year, going 31 out of 31 for extra points and 11 out of 11 for his field goals. Now on to my 2023 projected depth chart. At running back, starting, I have DJ Giddens. Deuce Vaughn's backup last year, Giddens ran for 518 yards and 6 touchdowns. He reminds me a lot of a guy like Alex Barnes, former K-State running back, but maybe even a little bit more explosive and a little bit better at running through arm tackles at this young age. The coaching staff brought in Treshaun Ward from Florida State as a transfer. Now, I have him as my number 2 running back, but really I expect them to be 1A, 1B. Ward is probably the more explosive of the two players, but Giddens will bring the power. At the third spot, it could be any number of guys. We have Anthony Frias, Jordan Shippers, who got the touchdown during the bowl game, James White, and then Joe Jackson is the true freshman that's coming in from Florida. I like him a lot and have him down as my number 3 running back. At quarterback, Will Howard showed tremendous improvement last year. He went from a player that K-State fans didn't want to see on the field to someone who could be contending for all-conference honors in 2023. He's already played in 22 career games. Last year, he put up 233 yards per game and 15 touchdowns through the air while leading the team to a Big 12 championship. At number 2 spot, I have Jake Rubley. He has very little experience, but like Howard last year, he's going into his 3rd year, and I think he'll have a big jump. Now in the number 3 spot, I have Avery Johnson, the heralded true freshman. If he plans on redshirting, then I think Adrian Lara will take this spot, but I still wouldn't be surprised if Avery Johnson got his 4 games in. At fullback, it'll be either Christian Moore or Jack Sanine. Moore played all last year as a starter. Jack Sanine ended up redshirting with an injury. He did play in those 4 games. As far as 2023 goes, I think it'll be a toss-up. I could see Christian Moore starting out as number 1 guy based on the fact that he played all last year, but Sanine is more of a playmaker when you get the ball in his hands. Wide receiver is the position that K-State experienced the most turnover in on offense. They do return Phillip Brooks, a super senior, a veteran who has really good hands. Brooks isn't exactly known for being the most explosive player, but he is good for a couple of explosive plays here and there. They also return R.J. Garcia, who made that incredible touchdown catch in the Big 12 championship. He was just a freshman last year. He was raved about by the coaches. I think he has a really good future. Jaden Jackson is a transfer that came in last year that wasn't super productive, but was coming on towards the end. But the guy who I think should be the number 1 receiver in the star is Keegan Johnson. He's coming over from Iowa. He had an extremely productive true freshman season and then got injured last year. He should be our big play guy. On the second line for the receivers, Xavier Lloyd on the depth chart all last year. Didn't play much, but he might take another step. Seth Porter, another super senior. He's going to be relied on as one of those veterans in the group. Sterling Lockett from that famous Lockett family. You know what those guys are all about. He'll look to continue growing. Ty Bowman, former walk-on. And then in the third line, we got Andre Davis, Trey Spivey, Jace Brown, Wesley Watson, all true freshmen. I don't think all 4 of them will play, but one of the best recruiting classes we've had for wide receiver in a long time. I'm sure a couple of them will get in there. Now, tight end, this is the one that really excites me. Ben Sinnott is a total stud. I think he could be the best player on offense in 2023. He had 31 receptions for 447 yards and 4 touchdowns last year, but he really didn't start coming on until the second half of the season. He has a great connection with Will Howard. I think he's going to be playing in the NFL. I'll call it right now. He's going to be the best tight end K-State's ever had. Backing up Sinnott, we have Will Swanson. He was the number 2 tight end last year. He didn't get a lot of passes thrown his way, and when he did, he had one pretty bad drop. He's going to improve. He's still a young guy. Behind him, I have Garrett Oakley. Honestly, I wanted to put him number 2. I just don't know how his weight's coming along. If he can get his weight up, then he might overtake that number 2 spot. I know the coaches really like him. There's also Braden Lofton, who hasn't played yet. Tight end is looking really good for the future. They got a couple of new freshmen, Andrew Mertzker and Will Ancio. Mertzker looks like the real deal, and Ancio's no slouch. On offensive line, the K-State returns 119 starts. This is an extremely experienced group. There's 3 super seniors coming back and 1 All-American in Cooper Beebe. He's really the headliner of it. He's the only player I'd call elite, but with that much experience, this should be a very good group. Taylor Potier was injured in the first game last year. This is his second major knee injury. I don't know if he's going to come back and be the starter right away or if they're going to let Hadley Panzer keep that job. If Panzer does get relegated back to center, maybe he could take Hayden Gillum's spot. There's really a lot of combinations we could do here. Even a guy like KT Levinson could move to guard if somebody else steps up at tackle. This should be a very strong group. My only concern is that the Gillum-Panzer area is a little weak. Gillum did get pushed back quite a few times when we played really elite teams. Hopefully he can improve or be replaced. Backing them up, we have Andrew Langang and Carver Willis, both the tackle spots. They both have experience. Everyone else in the middle lacks experience, but there's a lot of young guys. K-State's really been hoarding talented offensive lineman recruits. Camden Beebe comes in as a true freshman. I don't know if he's going to play right away, but I would love to see the Beebe brothers up there together. At kicker, Ty Zettner does move on. Chris Tennant returns. He was the starter at the beginning of the year, but did lose his job. He has a huge leg. If he can improve on his accuracy and get his self-confidence back, this guy could be really good. The question now is, can this team be as good as they were last year with the departures? Obviously, Deuce is a tough guy to replace, but overall, I think the offense should still be very good. They got Keegan Johnson. He's going to be a big-time playmaker. They got Treshawn Ward. They got DJ Giddens back. I honestly think this team could still contend for a Big 12 championship with the pieces that they have. Hey guys, if you're still listening, I want to give you a huge thank you. This isn't the kind of thing I normally do with my YouTube channel. I'm going to do a few more things like this. This is the first time I've ever done it, so I'm sorry if it's a little clunky. Hopefully I get a little bit better going forward. Thanks for listening.